All right, we're live, everybody. I don't know what's going on behind me here. I just lost something. I had the most amazing. There we go. Check this sucker out. Is that not awesome? What a day today. So anyway, it's been a while. I need to start doing these lives more often. I get asked, multiple times a week from people saying, how come we don't see you doing lives? So we're going to be coming back. I don't really have a bunch of prepared content today. We're just going to have a little conversation. Want you guys to make sure you save and share these lives, please. We need to start getting it back out there, start the excitement again. But one of the things we're going to talk about today, folks, is the insanity, right? So you're seeing what's happening across the country. You've got the Democrats in the streets, literally crying, singing over what? They're trying to say that they're actually worried that Elon Musk, the wealthiest man, one of the wealthiest men on the planet, is going to use their information to do what? I mean, I still haven't figured it out yet. It's actually some of the most embarrassing stuff I've ever seen in my life. You guys are seeing the Democrats out in front of the Department of Education, the USAID building, wherever they can go, pathetic, crying, screaming. I mean, you got the thug in some of them. You got some of the ghetto coming out of some of them. You mean they got that Maxine Waters is just a disgrace, right? This lady is just so insufferable, and she's out there screaming, nobody voted for, Elon Musk. And the thing about it is, we actually did. Donald Trump campaigned with Elon Musk the entire time. I saw him, you saw him. I know exactly what I was voting for. I know exactly what I was hoping I was voting for, and I couldn't be more thrilled, more excited to see what's happened these past few weeks. So everything he's doing, so you guys are seeing this stuff, right? Hundreds of billions of dollars, not just millions, not tens of thousands, not millions, hundreds of billions of dollars have been wasted on the most ridiculous stuff you could ever even imagine. Like, you couldn't make this up. You couldn't write a movie. You couldn't write a movie script with any more crazy, insane nonsense in it than what they've already found. That's how crazy this is. Every time they bring something else up, I mean, I'm not shocked. But do you guys realize they were funding everything that we haven't wanted to see, whether it was Black Lives Matter destroying our cities, whether it was the protests, the Pussy Hat protests, whether it was, news media, whether it was Politico or Reuters or NPR, all this stuff, or the AP, everything they've done. So again, what we've now learned, the left has no voter base. They don't exist. It's a joke. It's all fake. It's all phony. It's all made up. It's all manufactured. So really, I'm not crazy. I'm not the one. There's no one to rally against. It's all paid for nonsense, bought and paid for. And the worst part about it is they're using our tax dollars. I don't even need to look at the headlines anymore. I post the headlines, and I was just looking right here at, one of the things we found out. So how about Van Damme, Ben Stiller, Sean Penn, Orlando Bloom, and Angelina Jolie being paid millions of dollars to go to Ukraine and take a picture with Zelensky? All right. And again, Zelensky, a little fairy, right? A little fag. No offense, but he is. This guy, if you go look in his past, dancing around like a little fairy, and obviously, he's gay or swings both ways, whatever it is. I got no problem with that. But this guy has now come out and said that over half of the money that's been sent to Ukraine didn't get there. How do you even explain that, right? How do you even explain? And yes, I did call Zelensky that because he is a little troll. This guy is a guy that's stealing our money, using our money. Meanwhile, his wife just bought a Bugatti, all right? I don't know if you understand this. I've got friends, and this just came out, that all over Europe, the wealthiest people spending the most money everywhere throughout Europe, through all the bars and nightclubs, are Ukrainians. They literally have, tens of thousands, millions of dollars at their disposal. That's our money. That's our taxpayer dollars, right? That's being used. So I have a huge problem with Zelensky. I do think he is not a good person. I think he's a puppet. I think we know that. I think he belongs to BlackRock and to Lindsey Graham and the rest of them. But now that we've learned that our tax dollars, so when we can't help people in California, North Carolina, okay, Tennessee, where these different, Ohio, okay, where the train stuff last year, when they haven't gone and fixed, problems in our country, when we've got Americans that can't eat, can't afford, fuel, can't afford to heat their homes, don't have a home, and we're sending billions and billions and billions of dollars overseas, I have a massive problem with that. And the fact that the Democrats aren't standing shoulder to shoulder with Republicans pointing out this stuff tells you everything you need to know. And I'll tell you this much. The Democrats are done as a party. Remember where I said it. Their mainstream Democrats are leaving them in droves every single day because lots of people with common sense, I know people that have never been big Trump supporters. They've never really been necessarily Republicans, but every day I hear from them that they cannot believe the amount of waste, fraud, and abuse has been found, and that they're embarrassed that they ever even voted or belonged to the Democrat Party. That happens every single day. There's going to be nothing left. So what you're seeing in the news media, I mean, it's actually, it's scary, but funny at the same time for them to go on there. It's almost like, September, October, 2024 again. They're calling Trump a white supremacist. He's a fascist. He's a Nazi. They're talking about Elon Musk, who did the from my heart out, okay, that every politician has done everywhere you've ever seen it. They try to make it something it's not. And these guys, and I just did it. For anybody that wants to see someone do it, there it is. I'm saying from my heart out to you, right? Heart out to you, right? So again, you saw all mainstream media go nuts over that. They're trying to take Elon down. They wanted to, cause a rift between him and Trump. They're doing everything they can. But it's almost like we're rewinding back to, the whole summer, July, August, September, October, November, 2024, up until the point where they got absolutely destroyed. And again, why it was even I don't even want to call it competitive was because of the fake votes. So you have got to realize now that the mail-in ballots, the ballot harvesting, all the stuff that we're finding about with Social Security numbers, with IDs, has all been a complete facade, right? So without the massive fraud that the Dems use, it's probably a few million, if not up to 10 million votes less than what you saw. Absolutely. I'm saying it right now. It's all going to come out. I've been saying this, man, all the way back to going before the election in 2020. I was calling this out. I said in 2020, October, on multiple podcasts, Trump was going to landslide Biden. I believe he absolutely did, but not when you obviously can use massive amounts of mail-in ballots, the machines, all the ballot harvesting. Some of the stuff's legal, but how can you come out? You remember we found the 10,000 mules. So remember all these videos came out that the media buried him because their media was too busy selling you a narrative, which now we've come out and found out, right? So when they find routers, or whatever it's Reuters or whatever the hell it's called, Reuters, Politico, and there's an actual line item, $9 million to put out disinformation through the DOD, the Department of Defense, we got a problem. So I wanted to come on here and just talk about some of the stuff that we're seeing, bring up some different topics. So you see people saying, why are the prices still high? It's been 3 weeks. All right. Trump has to kick stuff in. We're drilling again. We're doing more, more energy expansion. All right. We're going to be, throwing tariffs on people that deserve it. We're not hitting people with tariffs because we have nothing better to do. Do you morons not understand that we have tariffs on American goods and all we're simply doing is returning the favor? Okay. And in certain circumstances where we've asked them to do. So I saw people saying, oh, Trump lost to Mexico and Canada. No, dipshits. They folded in 12 hours, like cheap, like a cheap lawn chair, they folded. And it was stuff Trump was saying to them to do. He wanted troops at the border on both sides. He wanted them following certain protocols. He wanted certain things being done that they're now doing, right? Taking their illegals back, stuff like that. And again, let me tell you something, I do think that if there's people in this country that have never committed a crime and we're working and paying and they get caught up, my heart goes out for them. I feel terrible. But at the same time, I work with clients every day that hire my firm, that do it right, that have been in this country for some of them a lot less time than people I hear about. You're hearing these sad stories. So-and-so has been here 20 years. They've done nothing to start the process. And now they're upset that something's happening to them. You knew when you came here that you were taking a chance. It's just like if I was to go somewhere and, I got into some country. First of all, you can't do it anywhere else. Try to overstay in Mexico. Try to overstay if you're white, and you don't have an issue going on. Go try and overstay in Mexico. I remember when I had Airbnb as far back as, let's go back to like 94, 95. We overstayed in Cozumel. They knocked at the door and asked us what we were doing. Then we tried to overstay at Airbnb in Cabo. Same thing happened. When are you leaving? Why are you still here? What's going on? Immigration people, right? Actual government people. So it doesn't just happen, only here. It happens everywhere. But my point is, I think it's awesome what's going on. I think that if people, especially if they were criminals, committing crimes, bad people, gang members, thugs, drug dealers, cartel people, gone. Zero sleep, zero F's given, right? I don't give a crap. Matter of fact, I'm sitting back smiling, thinking to myself, this is exactly what I voted for. 100%. 100% voted for. I got to get I think Aaron Beatles, my friend, had that. I have to sign back up for that so there's no commercials. Is that not the most awesome eagle you've ever seen? I put that on today because of the Daytona 500 in memory and in celebration of what Trump's been doing. So I want to bring this up though, because we're on this topic for a second. So I didn't see any of these crazies. All right. I remember when Barack Obama got in, he was then later known as the deporter in chief. Even for all the nonsense Trump talked, all the tough talk, Trump deported less than 1 million people in his first administration. Less than 1 million. Okay. You guys realize that, right? So before you lose your minds and do your crocodile tears and freak out and look so stupid and so low IQ and so off the reservation, understand that Obama deported over 5 million people. The kids separated from their families in cages, that was Obama. The pictures that they showed when Trump won and started doing it were actually pictures from the Obama administration. But you guys didn't have enough, intelligence to play on the Wayback, machine and go look it up for yourselves. So we have to deal with this crying and crocodile tears and demonstrations and shutting down the freeway and wah. Save it. I didn't see one of you people. You got these immigration attorneys on there and the ACLU and everybody's mobilizing. You didn't do shit. You didn't do jack shit when it happened before. And so you want me to feel bad? I don't feel bad, right? I have already said, I think it's obviously a tough situation if people's family members or folks that have been here doing the right thing, living right, not committing crimes, and are getting caught up in this. No one wants to see that. However, you should have been fixing your papers, applying, doing things the right way. And if you didn't, and you took those chances, and now you got caught, that's the law. It'd be like saying, I've got great family. I've got great friends, great people I know. I represent people. You guys know I do all kinds of law. I do constitutional law, personal injury law, business law, DUI law, criminal defense law. And I see the best people. Moms have never been in trouble in their lives. They're doing the right thing. They got 3 kids. They get pinched for a DUI. I can't go, oh, stop. She didn't mean it. No, that's no. You know what? The law is the law. You're driving over a certain limit. You're getting hooked up. Your kid's getting separated from you. All right. If you're a single parent and you got nobody, your kid's going to CPS. Happens all the time. Right. So I don't feel bad for the criminals and the illegals that are here that have broken the law and done bad things. I definitely, absolutely want to say that I don't want to see families get separated, but it's going to happen. And you know what? It is absolutely what we voted for, because there's got to be law and order in this country. We've got to follow the laws. When they and it's not no 10 million. There's 15, 20, 25 million people have come in here. All right. Meanwhile, what's so insane, you got Gavin Newsom, right? That idiot in California, right? He's at a budget deficit, right? They can't afford anything. And they've spent 10 million on healthcare, 10 billion on healthcare for illegals. Meanwhile, he's asking Trump, for money because that idiot burned down the state. All right. That was, you guys remember 2017, 18, Trump warning Newsom to do stuff to protect the state from fire, to let the water flow, to make sure that they clean this forest, all this other stuff. Newsom gave him the finger. Trump warned him again, even put a report together he sent out to him. What happened? What just happened in LA? All could have been 100% avoidable. All right. I don't care what any of you nut jobs say. If you had a more, resourced water containment system right down from the reservoirs to what's in the fire hydrants to the budget cuts that happened to the firefighters, at least it's not going to burn the way it did. But you don't listen. So now Newsom's going to ask Trump for more money. And what's Trump going to do? I hope he gives him the middle finger and says, here, Newsom, what you got to do is I want voter ID, and absolutely 100% I would condition on it, because the fraud, waste, and abuse, which is also happening as a result of letting people participate in our elections that shouldn't participate and letting votes be counted that should never be counted, affects all of us, right? It affects all of us. So I'm sorry, if I was Trump, I would 100% condition that aid on fixing the whole voter ID nonsense in California. Too bad, so sad, Newsom. I would absolutely pin your balls to the wall. I'd actually try and get you out of there. I hope he either resigns, which we know won't happen, or he gets recalled or voted out. But I just want to bring this up. Let me finish with that part, because I got Obama up here on one of my posts on Instagram, where Obama's talking about all the things you just heard Trump talk about before the election, up through the election. We can't let hundreds of thousands, millions of people just come in here with no verification, no being vetted, no nothing, and on our voter rolls, taking our money, using our resources. We can't do it. So Obama did it. He deports over 5 million people. You guys don't say a word. He's not called a Nazi and a fascist. People are crying. They're talking about camps and whatever. It's just stop. You guys look so bad, and you're going to get absolutely just bodied at midterms. You think, I've had people tell me, when a presidential year happens and everything swings one way, back come the midterms, it's going to swing back the other way. No, it's not. It's not even going to swing a little bit back the other way. People are so happy what's going on. And I'll tell you something else. There's a lot of people that don't have balls. They don't have the nuts. They just don't have, the integrity to say it. But I will tell you right now, much more people in the 95% range are really, really happy with Trump and what he's doing. He has the highest approval ratings he's ever had, ever. And the Democrat Party has the lowest approval ratings they've ever had. And what have these idiots done? They go and hire someone like that little beta cuck, David Hogg. We're talking about someone who is such a soy boy, right? If anything, he's going to drive even more men. Okay, because what are we doing again, guys? Not only with RFK are we going to make America healthy again, but with guys like Joey Gilbert, we're going to make America masculine again. We're done. You guys probably saw some of the stuff they're doing in New Zealand. They're done with the rainbow parades and the rainbow stuff. Listen, no one, including me, has any issue with anybody and how you live your life. I've got plenty of friends, gay friends, okay? I love them dearly. They're some of the greatest people on earth. But you know what they're not doing? They're not rubbing stuff in people's faces. They're not trying to groom kids. They actually don't want anything to do with the trans stuff anywhere around their kids or anybody's kids, like most sane people. So my point for saying this is that it's all manufactured nonsense. All the stuff you're seeing, these protests, now we're learning they've all been bought and paid for decades, especially the last 5 to 10 years, especially, of course, since Trump ran. They have spent more money on nonsense. Who thinks it's acceptable to spend millions of dollars on making sure that DEI and whatever lifestyles are more acceptable in Serbia? Anybody there? How about making sure that there's sex change operations in Guatemala, or that there's a Sesame Street reboot in Iraq? You want that money to go there? I don't. Let me tell you something. You want to know where I want the money to go? I want it to flow into our inner cities. I want it to go to where we have kids that don't have something to eat, where they can't get to schools. I want to see school choice for all these kids in bad areas. I want to see them fed and clothed and have the resources and technology they need before we give a penny. So when people are crying, oh my God, these people are going to die. You know what? Fix that. What America First stands for, you absolutely insufferable, just crazies, is making sure that before you go start helping other people across the world that you take care of Americans first in our inner cities, the Black community, the Latino community, okay? The people that have been here working, that are born in this country, that are citizens. So that's what America First means. Stop giving our money to people that not only don't deserve it, but we don't give a shit, right? I'm sorry. I don't care if that sounds bad. Do I sound mean? Too damn bad. I would have no problem pulling that funding from anywhere but America until our kids, until our veterans, until our elderly, anybody that needs it has what they need. And you know what we've learned? That there's more than enough out there that goes around. Remember when they said that Elon Musk spent $44 billion, he could have ended world poverty, he could have ended world. They have found $1.2 trillion in Medicaid overpayments. That's with a T. They're going to find probably more than that in the Department of Defense. He's auditing that next. Then we'll do the IRS. All right. All these things we're finding. So all you people that, how's it okay if it's Elon Musk or not okay? But then when you see it from the Democrats stealing all this money, now it doesn't matter. You know what? Damn it. I'm going to have to just go to my regular flag. But how awesome was that eagle? Don't lie. That eagle is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So let's take it back for a second here. So now we need to talk about this because obviously there's too many people out there that just can't get this in your head. So they're giving billions of dollars all over the world. And meanwhile, we can't make sure that the drinking water in Flint, Michigan, or where the train, went off the tracks and polluted all that groundwater, or the hurricanes, or Palisades, or pick somewhere, pick a place, right? Until those places are 100% fixed, squared away, people are good, stop giving our MFing money away, period, right? So that's just where I'm at on that. I think some of the other things, we could talk about that too. How about the hockey game last night? And again, I mean, this is so funny because I don't think anybody has a problem with Canadians. Like, they're the nicest people on the planet. No one has a problem with them. I love Canada. Been up to Canada many times. Got nothing. And again, even when we're taking shots and saying, we're not picking on the Canadians. We're picking on that little goofball, another little fairy, okay? Definitely another one who's gay. Probably hooks up with Zelensky. We're talking about Trudeau, all right? You can't pick a bigger just stunad, okay, than Trudeau and his leftist government. He's destroyed Canada. Highest taxes, okay? No one can buy houses up there. They just destroyed Canada. And so we're picking on Trudeau. I like that Pierre guy, Pierre Poilievre or whatever. Hopefully they do what's right. They put him in. Now, do I think that candidly is it kind of funny to hear Trump talking about Canada becoming a 51st state? Yes, it's hilarious. Is it going to happen? No chance in hell. I don't think so. Now, listen, I want to also go back and say this because I want to make this very clear in case anybody ever gets a little sideways. I absolutely love Donald Trump, everything he does, everything. So would I be surprised if all of a sudden we're acquiring Greenland and Canada? No, not at all. Would I think it's awesome? Absolutely. I think it's as awesome as renaming the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America. And I think it's hilarious. And you know why I really think it's funny? Because you didn't see any of this outrage. You guys took Aunt Jemima away from us. You made him rename military bases. You ripped down statues. You lost your friggin' minds. Like, it's the craziest thing. So it's okay when you do it. But if Trump does it for something no one cares about, all right, and just to really drive this home, because you know what's so funny? I found out when I ran for governor and afterwards that I kind of have like a Howard Stern-esque type of image, that people actually watch my lives in Facebooks and other stuff and go on my posts because they hate me and they want to see what I say because they despise me as much as they like me. And I absolutely love that. That made my heart. Like, I mean, I got a chat in here. Someone chatting with me. Oh, I got people in here. So I found out when it was all said and done, what someone's saying, what does voter have to do with fires? Has to do with everything. Has to do with everything. And so what I found out was that people come on because they absolutely hate me as much as they love me. And that for me was great. So I say this because those of you that are out there watching this and you hate it, just understand that I'm loving it. When I going on, so when I saw you in the comments, I'm not going to call it the Gulf of America. Guess what? Guess what, crazy? No one cares because Google and Amazon, Google, Amazon, and Apple are now calling it the Gulf of America. And at the end of the day, who gives a shit, right? Trump did it because Trump did it. I think it's awesome. I've heard different reasons for why he did it. I think it's awesome, right? I think it's awesome. So the bottom line is what would you do about the fires, Joey? They burned down the state of Nevada also. Well, what would I do about the fires, Sherry? I mean, we need to do better management of the forests, okay? We need to do much better management, but it is what it is, okay? Let me focus here on a couple other things. So one thing I want to talk about too that is blowing my mind. So when you guys hear me talk about why the Democrats are done as a party, I've said this before. Some people don't listen or don't think that this is true. You should use the platform on X. So Sherry, before you jump in my comments and get all mouthy, I'm live on X right now, Joey Gilbert Inc. You can check that out. I'm also on Facebook and I'm on Instagram and I'm on YouTube all right now. So thank you. Back to what I'm saying. Do you guys realize that none of the Democrats, or I think only two Democrats voted to make sure that men could not be in women's sports? So even our guy, Mark Zuckerberg, I know some of you guys think, oh, screw Zuck. I think I'm different. I think Mark Zuckerberg, this is my personal opinion now, okay? I think Zuck hanging out with all the UFC guys, because you saw him, all of a sudden he's going to UFC fights. You remember, Zuck called out Musk. He wanted to fight Elon Musk, right? He was training, he was fighting, he was sparring, he broke his leg, all right? The guy was really in it, right? I have friends that were up in Tahoe with them. I know some of the guys. Obviously, you got Dana White on the board. So I think that Zuckerberg was hanging out with fighters. We're a different breed. Fighters, if one thing about fighters, we don't like bullies. Now, we like to bully people, but we don't think it's fair when people are bullied. Fighters have just a unique DNA where we don't like when people are being picked on. We don't like to see people suffer. We don't like people taking advantage of people. So that ethos of a fighter, you're going to see a lot of guys, Zuckerberg's hanging out with them. And I think what happened was he just felt like, you know what? I'm not jiving with this anymore. Obviously, he made some changes. And of course, Trump winning made a difference. Okay, I see all that. So the bottom line is, I think Zuckerberg honestly did have a change of heart. Now, don't get me wrong. I still think he's got a board to answer to. He's got people. The government was putting people out a lot of pressure. But I do think that Zuckerberg overall had a change of heart, of whatever, of stamina, of being that fighter ethos. That's the best I could say. Those of you that know what I'm talking about, or were fighters or fought, you get it. Those that don't, it is what it is. Now, what I want to say though is that when you have all these Democrats remember what I just said, did not vote to protect women in sports. Zuckerberg, there's no more tampons in the men's room at Meta. Okay, they got rid of all the nonsense. So guys, I don't have a problem. Like I've got a couple guys in the Vegas area, on the different radio shows down there. I know his name is Brian Shapiro. I forget what the name of his show is. Brian gets all crazy. He attacks me on Twitter, and I actually like Brian. He's one of the few guys on the left that's actually a smart dude. I actually like him. I think when I'm privately with him, I don't mind him. But then he gets on, he loses his mind, right? He loses his mind. Transgenderism, have no problem with it. I just think it's all nonsense. I think it's made up fantasy land garbage, right? And so I think that we should just completely ignore it. I don't think there should be any special anything. I think it's plain pretend. I think it's fantasy land nonsense. I think it has no places in everyday whatever. Be whoever you want to be. Sleep with whoever you want to sleep with. You just don't need to have all of us not only validate it, verify it, play along with your game, call you a separate name. Like, you're a dude. I mean, I'm talking about that. And it really is, honestly, I don't really see it as ever an issue where so many women were trying to be men that it was crazy. It's really the men trying to be women that got a little cuckoo, right? And that goes for going in women's sports. You don't see this massive overtaking of women taking over men's sports, right? No, you didn't. You saw failed male athletes, meaning let's just like really what it is, losers. So we saw losers that couldn't cut it in their sport going and taking opportunities from women, right? So, and again, I always said this: like you go in the bathroom with my daughter, you're going to have a whole different experience, right? Not only just from probably her, but from me. And I'm not going to have any problem about it, right? Any problem with it. So my point is, when you see Democrats largely not supporting women, again, I think there were 2 to vote against protecting women in sports. They're done. Now, you guys might not think that this is, but when you look at what really turned this last election, it was that they could not get out of their own way. Everybody with a brain and common sense knows that there should be no men in women's sports or their private places or taking their opportunities. But they just couldn't, I don't know what it is. And again, I've got a lot of friends, great friends, that were Democrats. And some of them I talk to, and they'll even say to me, man, come on, dude. I don't think that. And I say, but what? That's just where our party's at. Until they make a stand and stop this nonsense, they're going to get crushed. They're going to get crushed. So I'll keep saying this over and over again. And I fully believe with all my heart that if they don't come corrected in these areas, specifically these areas, obviously the waste, fraud, and abuse, if they don't come out and call out these hundreds of billions of dollars that have been spent on complete nonsense, they're done. They're done. Everyday Americans, everyday middle of the road folks that are just working hard and want a good life for their family and for their kids to get a good education, they're done. They're done with the fantasy land, okay, plain pretend nonsense. They're done with the DEI. They're done with the, we've got this stuff here at some of our schools, gender closets, where kids can go to school, assume a separate identity, change their clothes. Okay, their teachers will call them a different name, a different pronoun, all that stuff. They keep it from the parents. They're even working, and again, this is definitely happening in Clark County. They were working with, helping kids transition without their parents' knowledge. So again, what's going to happen is going to be some massive lawsuits that just absolutely crush the school districts and probably even the states for allowing it, and that'll change it. But again, federal funding is going to make a huge difference. Trump isn't playing around. Pam Bondi's not playing around. And we need to see this stuff because at the end of the day, this stuff has no business in our kids' schools, in their sports, in any of this stuff. And, even here in Nevada, we've got some up in the north called the NIAA. And I happen to know some of these guys on there. No one in there thinks that there should be men in women's sports at all. But their problem is that we've got this ridiculous amendment here that was added to the Constitution, right, that says the crazies that play pretend can participate, right, that they should be able to. And it shouldn't happen. And then we had, folks at our university, even though the governor is one of the few governors that sent a letter to the NCAA about, he was one of, and again, I'm very proud of Joe Lombardo, man. I think he made a stand when a lot of governors weren't. And say what you want about him. I thought it was very, ballsy of him to send it. And I thought it was awesome that he sent it over there. And then now, I think the federal funding thing is going to be a big issue. But I took issue at the University of Nevada. And again, everybody knows my stance. I love that university. I'm where I'm at today because of that university. Brian Sandoval, our former governor, is the president there. Not only a dear friend of mine and someone that I looked up to for many, many years, but he was the governor when they signed that Equal Rights Amendment, right? So he wasn't willing to do anything about what happened at the university when we had our volleyball team, the Nevada women's volleyball team, forfeit against San Jose State because they had a man playing on their team. I thought the university should have stood up and supported them, but you kind of put yourself in a situation when you were the governor that passed a law, passed an amendment, put an amendment through on the Constitution saying that kind of stuff's okay. So again, my whole point for talking about this is that you see all this craziness, this gaslighting, these fake tears, this crocodile nonsense happening everywhere. It is the same, Sherry. I don't care what you say. That's how I feel. And I'm allowed to feel that way. I think it's absolutely crazy that the Democrats are not recognizing that the country did a hard pivot and said, we're done with this. We're done with this. We're done with men and women's sports. We're done, playing the pretend game. And I absolutely think that we need to see a course correction from them or they're done. As a matter of fact, I don't think once we get the election secured, once the mail-in ballots are gone, once the ballot harvesting is gone, once there's voter ID, once we have some protections, I personally think we should have watermarked paper ballots, one day of voting. I do believe that there should be absentee ballots for people that need them. You got our veterans, you got our seniors. but it should not be this craziness where they're mailing millions of ballots across the state. It should never happen. That needs to stop immediately. And I would end that on day one. I would end that on day one. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I do think that even if the Democrats come corrected, once they lose their resources that they're able to game the system on, they're not going to be, I don't think they're going to be a credible threat ever if Trump gets done what he needs to get done. So I'll say this, man, and again, I see Dana, my boy Dana Alec on here. It was awesome to see Riley Gaines signing the bill with all the girls of President Trump. Yes, it was. It was incredible. And I don't know if you guys saw what's happening now. The NCAA obviously is being sued. Penn State's being sued. All across the country, they are going to put things in place to get accountability and to make things fair again, right? Make things fair again. So one thing that we're seeing here, I'll dive into another thing too, is you're seeing this in Florida and other places. So they're talking about the crisscross applesauce. You guys know what I'm talking about. The lines in the sky, that's all we'll say. I've got to be careful on here because they absolutely do censor that stuff. So I call it crisscross applesauce, right? We are now learning from the USAID stuff that's coming out from Doge that millions upon millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars were given across the country to cloud seeding programs, all right, and other weather. I don't want to say the word. Let's just say that they're playing with the weather. Now, again, do I think that cloud seeding is bad? No, in certain areas where you need it, but it's some of the chemicals they're using, they're going too far, right? And then I've got farmers, I've got ranchers, I've got people in agriculture. They're talking about that these chemicals are now in their rainwater. It's on their crops. It's hurting their animals. And so that's stuff we got to talk about, right? Stuff we got to talk about. So let me just think about a couple other things I want to hit before we wrap it up here. And I could just go through. So yeah, crisscross applesauce, the playing pretend game. Already talked about some of the stuff with Doge. So last thing I'll say about Doge. So one thing that I don't like that I see is crazy is, and again, I don't know where this goes on this because you're seeing if everything Trump does is allowed to be tied up in the courts and he's not allowed to be the chief executive, what are we supposed to do there? I do think some of these judges should be impeached. I do think so. I think that we have the Congress. I think we should absolutely, on some of these guys, they're overstepping, especially where there's massive conflicts of interest. When you learn that there's 2 or 3 different judges that spouses and immediate family are benefiting from him, making sure that Trump can't pause the USAID or can't pause some of the stuff we're doing in Treasury, and there's a massive conflict of interest, and these guys didn't recuse themselves. And again, of course, you got Democrats forum shopping, running the states where they know they can get an injunction. I think that when you see stuff like Biden, he was told he couldn't follow stuff. Absolutely, you need to impeach him. They absolutely need to impeach him. They need to impeach these judges. I think they absolutely should. Not all of them, but on certain circumstances where they have not done what they should do, okay? There's canon ethics. There's things these judges know they should be doing, they're not doing. Because remember this, guys, if it pertains to Trump, all bets are off. They will do anything they can to try and destroy Donald Trump. And I'll say this, though. You saw that Trump is going to be making sure that everything about his assassination attempt is released. I think with Kristi Noem there and with the people that are going to be taking over Secret Service, we are going to absolutely find out that it was a 100% state-sponsored, by our own government event. Trump was supposed to be dead. He was supposed to have his head blown off in 4K, played nationwide around the world. It'd still be playing now. It's still be playing right now because they were trying to take down a movement. They were trying to absolutely destroy MAGA and the whole movement. And that was going to happen. That's what they tried to do. So let me just say this, guys. I want to try and keep this under 40 minutes, and we're right at 40 minutes. So for those of you that are watching what's happening with Doge, for many of us, it's exactly what we voted for. I couldn't be more proud and more excited every day that I see what's happening with Trump, with Elon Musk, with his little hunter geniuses. I think what they're doing is amazing. I'm 100% supportive of it. I want to make sure everybody knows not only do I condone it and I'm excited about it, it's exactly what I voted for. Let's get that. Now, a couple of things, little stuff here. Please make sure you're following me on X, Joey Gilbert Inc. I don't have it up there, but my Instagram is just Joey Gilbert NV, Joey Gilbert Nevada. Please follow me on there. I'm having my boy Travis is going to redo this graphic for me. You could always go to my website, joeygilbert.com. Obviously, it's sponsored by Joey Gilbert Law, joeygilbertlaw.com. So you've got lots of ways you can follow me. Please share this. Share this Facebook Live. Let's get it out there. We need to start doing this again. We're going to start putting these out there everywhere. But again, there's lots of topics to go over. But it's just important that you guys understand what's happening right now in this country. They are absolutely freaking out because Trump is finding all the waste, fraud, and abuse that they've been using to hurt us as Americans. There is no reason anywhere on this planet to be sending tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars overseas to people that don't like us, to projects that don't affect Americans. Not when we have homeless children, homeless veterans, seniors that don't have enough money, people that can't buy houses, properties and environmental catastrophes, destroyed weather catastrophes. Until you've taken care of our people, stop sending our money overseas. And so when President Trump, I want you guys to understand this. I said this earlier in the podcast. President Trump has the highest approval rating he's ever had. Meanwhile, the Democrat Party has the lowest they've ever had. But the media doesn't show you that. They don't show you. They don't want you to know that. That's really what's happening here. So again, we want Doge to go find all the waste, fraud, and abuse. We want to do something about it. We want them to stop sending our money overseas. We want them to fix things here for Americans. We want these ridiculous, radical, left-wing judges, okay, that are legislating from the bench to stop their crap, or we should impeach them, right? We don't want men and women sports. We want Democrats to join us on this stuff. Join us with protecting our women in sports. Join us on ending the waste, fraud, and abuse. Join us on making sure that we don't have people coming over here without doing the right thing, right? Join us on fixing our elections. And there's some stuff you guys should know. Over 70% of even Democrats think there's problems with our elections. So we've hit a point in this country where everybody wants to see this stuff fixed. So again, share the live for me. Follow me on Instagram, okay, Joey Gilbert Inc. Follow me on Instagram at Joey Gilbert Nevada. I wrote to Instagram today to ask them to please give me back my account. You guys remember I used to have Joey Gilbert Inc. on Instagram. Was over 100,000 followers at one point. They dropped me all the way down to like 70 something. Then they just shut me off one day. So I'm trying to build that back. I've got tons of friends and contacts in there I can't even communicate anymore with, but we're working on it. So share this, put it out there. We are going to be getting back into the fight here very soon in many different ways. That's all I can say for right now is that there's things underway. Yes, it's happening. I got to get some things squared away. I got to get some things set up first. But just understand, I need you to share this. There's a reason why we will be back into the focus and fight soon enough. But please, guys, have a voice. Stand up for this country. Stand up for the nonsense that's happening. And again, you guys have friends on the other side of the aisle. Call them out. Ask them why they think there should be men and women's sports. Ask them why we should be shipping millions of dollars anywhere besides America. Hold them accountable, all right? Help me get some bills passed so they can't do crisscross applesauce in our skies, right? Help me work to fix Nevada elections. We shouldn't be the laughing stock of this country. When I moved here from Chicago in the late 80s, like 89, 90 right then, I moved from Chicago. I remember our counting was done before the 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock news. Done. I understand there's more people, but if Florida can count their votes before midnight, Nevada can count our votes before midnight. That was embarrassing. Francisco Aguilar, do better, homie. I know that you tell people you can't do this, you can't do that because your party tells you no. Well, if you don't have the balls to fix it, resign. Let someone else do it, right? And again, that goes across the board, anywhere. If your party's telling you no and you know it's wrong and we need to fix our elections so that we don't look like the laughing stock in this country, then get out of there and let someone else do it, okay? So thanks for joining me here on Gloves Off, guys. I'll be back soon. Share it for me. And again, you got the book, Championship Formula with Joey Gilbert. I'd love you to check that out. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. And just be part of the movement. Because, again, there ain't